Mike Butcher with TechCrunch Europe, and I've been following a story about a young man who developed an app called Trim It, and this man is called Nick Deloisio. Hello, Nick.
Hi. Thank you.
Now, Nick, you're an unusual story because you developed the app initially, not as an iPhone app, but firstly as a web app, Trim It, a few months ago when you were only 15.
Right, so, I mean, I got the idea. I was studying for my exams, and I found Google and Bing and the other search engines I was using at the time quite inefficient, the way I would go about my browsing experience. A lot of the results were irrelevant. So I thought about a way of previewing the content so you could get an instant gauge of is this something you want to read or not, especially when you come to studying and other forms of sort of precise content.
So is it kind of a study, a useful aid for students almost?
I mean, it's useful for everyone in the sense that everyone does use Google, everyone does get URLs coming through Twitter, everyone needs to evaluate that content. However, I thought of the idea, when I was studying for my exam, and I thought about summarization as a manner of previewing content. And I looked around, there wasn't really anyone working in the space, and so I kind of created a prototype app called Trim It, and that's when I attracted the attention of Horizons Ventures, the investment arm of Mr. Li Ka-shing, who had invested in Facebook and Siri, which is very topical because they're also working in the artificial intelligence space, which is where Sumli is currently. And that was obviously great support to kind of bring the technology and the company to the next level.
So you coded the whole algorithm all by yourself, and but obviously you didn't have a company yet. You just had a product. When was that?
So I came up with the idea in March, April 2011 last year. And after I'd done my exams, I programmed it over May, early June. I released Trim It at the time. It was about a month after the launch where, we got a bid, a press, and it was doing all right in the store. Apple did feature it as a new and noteworthy app, and I did get some kind of good feedback. I knew it was the right space. The execution wasn't necessarily great, but it was the right space to be working in, and I think that's what got the attention of Horizons, because it was an interesting space to be working in the technology of summarization, and it progressed from there.
What was the initial approach like? I mean, you got some traction on TechCrunch and other media outlets. What was the approach like first? Were they a little bit surprised to find out that you were 15 or 16?
So I on purposely not disclosed my age even to you. I mean, we'd been in touch, but I hadn't said I was 15 on purpose because I didn't want that to get in the way of people evaluating the technology on its own merit. And it's important that was the case because Horizons didn't have interest in Sumli or Trim It at the time because of myself or my age or anything, solely down to their technology in the space it was working in. And
so how long was it before the initial contact and then telling them that you were 16?
So, I mean, it was pretty much on the first call. I think I was pretty obvious and explicit about that because I wanted to be up front from the start. And I think by then there was a bit of word that I was a 15. I mean, I think I had disclosed it in one of the latter articles. I mean, it was about a month-long period when we got featured by Apple and kind of progressing it from just me launching the app to trying to garner some attention from potential VCs.
And so that was midway last year. And what sort of reaction did you get when people started taking serious interest?
I mean, I was obviously happy because I'd been doing apps since I was 12. So, I mean, literally since July 2008, I was when I really kind of got into apps and been programming ever since then. And so the apps to begin with weren't very good in terms of the quality. And so it was a learning experience for the last few years. And so obviously when I did get the attention of even just a phone call with someone like Horizons, I was extremely happy with that because to me that allowed me to feel quite proud. I worked my way through the learning experience, had the failures, and trying to kind of get somewhere. So even just getting that first response, regardless if they were going to invest, was really pleasing for me. I was thankful for it.
And so that was last year, and you got some more traction, I assume. How many times has the app been downloaded now?
So we relaunched as Sumli, and so now the technology is quite advanced. It's patent pending, Europe, UK, US, and we use machine learning techniques, so it is quite an advanced technology. As a result, we released an iPhone app to demonstrate the technology. I mean, inevitably will be more of a licensing model, really focusing in as a technology company as opposed to an app. But the iPhone app is available on the store. We've had 115,000 downloads in the last month, and we were iPhone App of the Week in the UK, Ireland, a few other European countries a few weeks ago, which is obviously a great accolade to have.
What sort of data are you getting out of its usage? What sort of things are people using it for?
So we have a Safari bookmarklet, which is its primary use. So we don't want to disrupt the workflow of a user browsing the web. And that's why inevitably our home is integrated into other services, because that way we're not asking the user to consciously use Summly in their browsing experience. It's just something that they can inherently use right on top as an overlayer. And so most people are using the bookmarklet integration. So you can be on a BBC article, one touch, and you're into Summly to a summary. We've just done a thing with Instapaper. We're doing a kind of few integration things with other apps, and we're getting a lot of people through Instapaper clicking the summarize button that then links up into Summly. And so, I mean, we do have a search feature within Summly. We pull Bing and Google News APIs. All the search results are summarized because we're almost shifting the paradigm of search in the sense that we want to be allowing people to preview results as opposed to having to, on a mobile device with cellular data connection and a small screen, instead of having to click and read the 2,500 word article to decide if this is something you want to read, with a summary, it's a quick and instantaneous way of previewing the content.
It seems like somebody could have done this before, perhaps. Why do you think nobody has?
So I think it's a stage in the internet. Obviously, information overload is a more prominent issue than it was 5 years ago. Mobile is another reason why it hasn't really been done before. The App Store ecosystem has only been out for maybe 2 years or so, 3 years. And so I think it's an interesting technology to be applied to the mobile space and hasn't been done in the past. It's quite a hard technology, and so I hastily put together an algorithm, but since then I've had industry experts come on and help, and we're building a team now in London basically to focus on the algorithm because it's important that we maintain the kind of industry lead that we have currently with some.
So how much funding have you got now?
So we've had a seed round from Horizons, and that was closed last year. I think it was, $300,000 was kind of the number that's publicly been disclosed. Obviously, in the future, in the next couple of months, I'm focused on just getting the technology, continuing to progress the technology and the product. So whether that means we raise another round, whether that means we do deals with certain companies, we're exploring all avenues. That's to be decided, but I'm really just focused on the technology at this current moment.
I see, and also we have Laurie Earlham, who's with the company as well at the moment. Laurie, what's your view about Summly's potential?
So, well, I mean, the response so far has been fantastic. Across the board, from investors to users to press. Nick's kind of attained global coverage in Australia, Hong Kong, the US, Europe. So, the potential is really there, and now it's just down to us to kind of look towards growing the business, growing the technology, and taking it to the next level. Because with any new technology, there's an inevitable hype stage where everyone gets very excited about something new, especially when Nick's kind of hitting across the trends of information overload. But crucially, the mobile platform being the space to display a summary is just the crucial point really that makes this kind of relevant to people's needs, but also to the devices they're using as well.
Any sort of business model in view?
So there are various possibilities and various routes to go down. As Nick's kind of said, we're exploring all of those at the moment. I mean, I'm not going to say at this stage exactly what the plan is, but no doubt, there's a huge potential for something.
There's no shortage of potential and options in the future. As I say, I went into this not trying to. I didn't even look to get investment. It was like a hobby, and it's still, in the way I see it, it's just a hobby that I've been able to kind of bring to another level. And so my interest has always been in technology, in product, and so I want to make sure for as long as possible I keep full control of the product, the technology, and basically just continue my passion in technology, which is I've been lucky to be able to.
And now basically since early December, this has been the launch phase, so it's the initial kind of show for Summly, and now it's about kind of maturing and taking it to the next level. The fact that journalists like yourself, Mike, are interested and engaging with the product actually shows that we're kind of moving on to the next stage and maturing as a company.
And finally, Nick, do you plan to do Summly now? Is that it? Are you dropping out like Zuckerberg, or are you going to do some more studying?
No, I'm doing more studying, and I plan to go to sixth form and go to university 100%. I will not be dropping out, and I'll be staying in London as well. There was interesting people like come to Silicon Valley and drop out, it'd be great, but no. I want to stay in London. Obviously, I want to build a team. I mean, having said that, we still want to build Summly and build a team and explore I'm having some great other opportunities now in the future as a result of the technology and Summly, but I want to still focus on my studies.
Is that going to be tough to, scale a company while you're studying for exams and stuff?
So I have a few months off now. I have been granted by the school, basically. They've been, King's College School, Wimbledon. They've been really supportive of me in the last few months since it's all kind of kicked off, and will continue to be. And it's great because in the next few months I want to consolidate the business, make it self-sustainable, and then be able to go back to school, in a few months' time with somebody running, hopefully, and being successful, and me being able to study as well.
You're going to be one of the few guys in the school with their own internet startup. What's the comments from your friends been like?
So everyone's been supportive. I mean, I purposely didn't tell people about any of this stuff really until it was, I think it was literally until it was on TV and people were saying to talk about it. That's when everyone found out, and I think that's the right thing to do because there was no need to earlier. And obviously, I don't want to sound arrogant at all, and I shouldn't, because it is something I think in this day and age and with the App Store ecosystem, people can do it, and you'll see a lot more stories of kind of younger, teenagers basically being able to create companies. And so I'm sure there'll be a lot more people, and I'm sure even in my school now there are probably other people doing it. So it's kind of the new ecosystem. It's exciting. It's democratization.
Nick, thanks very much for talking to TechCrunch.